This is Edexcel's Mathematics Practice Test Set 6, Paper 1H. Question 1. Use a ruler and compasses to construct the bisector of angle ABC. Show all your construction lines. To do this, you want to open your compass, putting the point here, and then opening it somewhere along this line so that it will cut off both lines. So if you open it most of the way along the line BA, and then we will draw a line down here, cutting off those two lines. The next thing you want to do is you want to put your compass here, and without moving your compass from the original position, we then draw an arc out here. We then put the compass here, and again draw an arc out here, and where they cross will give us the angle bisector. Question 2. Peter, Tarish and Ben share £54. Tarish gets 3 times as much money as Peter, and Ben gets twice as much money as Tarish. So if we say that Peter gets 1 share of the money, Tarish will get 3 shares of the money. Ben also gets twice as much as Tarish, so he will get 6 shares of the money. So if we put that in the ratio Ben to Tarish to Peter, that would be 6 to 3 to 1. It says that they're sharing £54, so altogether we have 10 parts in this ratio. So we want to do 54 divided by 10, which is £5.40. We are asked for how much Ben gets, so Ben gets 6 parts, so we want to do 6 lots of £5.40. So to do that, do 6 times 5 is £30, and 6 lots of 40p is £2.40, so £32.40. Question 3. On the grid, draw the graph of x plus y equals 4 from -2 to 5. From -2 to 5 just means that the line must go all the way through the axes. So to do this, we are looking for pairs of values of x and y that add up to 4. So to start off with, we could do x is 0 and y is 4. We could do x is 1 when y is 3. We could do x is 2 when y is 2, and so on. So you can see that this is now creating a diagonal line through here. So from -2 to 5 means that it must go past these points here. So you can see my line carries on past those points. Question 4. PQRS is a square, all measurements are in centimetres. Show that the perimeter of the square is 10 centimetres. Well, if this is a square, then this side must be equal to this side. So we can set up an equation where 3x minus 2 is equal to x plus 1, and we can just solve that to find the value of x. To do this, we take the smallest amount of x off both sides, so take 1x off both sides, we'll get 2x minus 2 equals 1. We then want to get x on its own, so we add 2 to both sides, we get 2x equals 3. Then to find x, we divide both sides by 2, which will give me x is 1.5. If x is 1.5, we can put that into either of these because it will give us the same answer. So 1.5 plus 1 means that the length of the side must be 2.5. And obviously a square has 4 sides, so we want 4 lots of 2.5, which is 10 centimetres. Question 5. The diagram shows the plan of a floor. The area of the floor is 138 metres squared. Work out the value of x. So x is this distance here. At the minute, we don't actually need x because we can work out the area of this top rectangle here by doing 8 times 15. So the area of this one is 120 metres squared. If the area of that is 120 metres squared, then the bottom one must be 138 minus 120, which is 18 metres squared. So this must be 18 metres squared to make up the full 138. Meaning that this distance here must be 6 metres, because 3 times 6 will give me the 18. If this distance here is 6, then, and this distance here is 15, we just need to do 15, take away 6 to work out x. So x would be 9 metres. Question 6. There are 40 litres of water in a barrel. The water flows out of the barrel at a rate of 125 millimetres per second. 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. So, first of all, we want to see how many 125 millilitres there are in a litre. So if we do 125 times 8, that gives us 1,000 millilitres or 1 litre. So for every 8 seconds, it will lose out 1 litre. So we want to do 40 lots of 8, and 40 lots of 8 is 320 seconds to empty an entire bucket. Question 7, work out 2/5 and a quarter. To do this, we need a common denominator. So 5 and 4 both going to 20. So to get from 5 to 20 meters times by 4, so 2 times 4 is 8. And to get from 4 to 20 times by 5, so 1 times 5 is 5. And 8 20ths plus 5 20ths is 13 20ths. Part B, it says work out 3 1/8 times 2 fifths. Give you fraction in its simplest form. Well, to multiply fractions, first of all, we've got a mixed number there, so we need an improper fraction. So to convert the 3 1/8 to an improper fraction, that would become 3 times 8 is 24, add your 1 is 25/8. And we're multiplying that by 2 fifths. To multiply fractions, we do top times top, so 25 times 2 is 50, and bottom times bottom, 8 times 5 is 40. Simplifying that, we can divide by 10, we get 5 over 4, which would be 1 1/4. Question 8. Lillian, Max and Nazia share a sum of money in the ratio 2 to 3 to 5. What fraction does Max get? So Max is the 3 in the middle, and altogether there are 2 add 3 is 5, add 5 is 10 parts. So Max will get 3 parts out of the 10. Nazia receives £60. Work out how much Lillian gets. Well, if it's in the ratio 2 to 3 to 5, and that is Lillian, Max and Nazia, then Nazia gets £60. To get from 5 to 60, we are timesing by 12. So to work out how much Lillian gets, we will also times by 12. So she will get £24. Question 9. Solve 11 minus 4y equals 6y minus 3. To solve an equation with unknowns on both sides, we get rid of the smallest amount of y's. The smallest amount of y's is the minus 4y's, so we want to add 4y's to both sides. So if we add 4y's to the left, we end up with 11, and if we add 4y's to the right, we get 10y minus 3. We want to get y on its own, so we're going to add 3 to both sides, and we'll get 14 equals 10y. And to work out y, we'll just divide by 10, so 14 divided by 10 is 1.4. Part B, solve x squared minus 3x minus 40 equals 0. Well, it's an uncalculated paper, so we're going to have to factorise this. So we're after two numbers that multiply together to give minus 40 and add together to give minus 3. So that would be minus 8 and plus 5. 8 times 5 is 40, one of them is negative to give me minus 40, and the minus 8 gives me the minus 8x's here, plus the 5x's will give us minus 3x's, so that would work. And then to make this equal to 0, we have to make each bracket equal to 0 in turn. So x would have to be 8 to make the first bracket 0, because 8 take 8 is 0. Or to make the second bracket 0, x would have to be minus 5. Question 10. There are 11 pens in a box. 6 of the pens are black, 3 of the pens are red, 2 of the pens are green. Harry takes at random 2 pens from the box. Work out the probability he takes out 1 black pen and 1 green pen. Well, there are 2 ways of getting a black pen and a green pen. You can either get the black first and then the green, or you can get the green first and then the black. To get the black first, that will be 6 out of 11, so there's 6 black pens out of the 11 pens altogether. And then to get the green pen second, that would be 2 out of 10, because there are 2 green pens and there'd only be 10 left in the box. So that would be 12 out of 110. To get a green first, that would be 2 out of 11. And then to get the black second, that would be 6 out of 10, and that again would give us 12 out of 110. So altogether, if we add these together, we have got 24 out of 110, and if we cancel that down as we always should, we get 12 out of 55. Question 11. The size of an obtuse angle in an isosceles triangle is x. Write an expression in terms of x for the size in degrees of one of the other 2 angles. Well, if one of the angles is obtuse, that means it must be only one obtuse angle in it, leaving the other 2 to be acute angles. So this one here must be x. These 2 on the bottom must be equal to each other. So to work out one of those, angles on a triangle up to 180. So we'll do 180 minus x, and that would give us what the other 2 add up to. And because they are both equal, we need to divide that by 2. Question 12. Find the value of 9 to the power of a half. To the power of a half just means find the square root of 9, which would be 3. Write down the value of 8 to the power minus a third. A minus in this means that you're going to put it as 1 over, or find the reciprocal, and a third will mean you're finding the cube root. So we are finding the cube root 1 over the cube root of 8. The cube root of 8 is 2, so 1 over 2 would be our answer. It says 2 to the power k is equal to 16. Write down the value of k. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So altogether, we've got 4 2's there, so it must be 2 to the power of 4. Part D, solve 8 to the power 5 equals 2 to the power 2n plus 3. First of all, we want to write the 8 to the power 5 as a power of 2. Well, we've already seen in part B that 2 cubed is 8, so we can write 8 as 2 cubed to the power of 5. 2 cubed to the power of 5 would be 2 to the power of 15, and that would be the same as 2 to the power of 2n plus 3. That means that 2n plus 3 must be equal to 15. So if we take 3 off both sides, we get 2n is equal to 12, therefore n must be 6. Question 13. Tom recorded the times in seconds some boys took to complete an obstacle race, and he drew this box plot. Tom also recorded the time some girls took to complete the obstacle course. Compare the distributions. When you are comparing distributions, you always need to compare an average and the range. That can be the mean or the median or the mode, and it can also be the interquartile range or the range. In this one, I'm going to choose to do the range and the median, because we've got a box plot, and the median and the range are the easiest one to work out. So, looking at the box plot for the boys range, the top end of that box plot is at 136, and the bottom end is at 95, so their range must be 41. And looking at the girls' range, their biggest number is 132, and the smallest number is 99, so their range is 33. For the boys' median, we could take that from the box plot, it's this line here, so that is at 115. And the girls' median, we could do that by finding the middle of these numbers. There are 19 numbers there, so if we count 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, this one here must be in the middle, so their median would be 112. We've now got to say what this means. So if we look at the averages first, the median, the boys have taken longer, they've taken 115 seconds to do it, so the girls have been quicker. So we're going to write, on average, the girls were quicker, as they had a lower median. And the second thing we need to write is comparing the ranges. So the girls had a smaller range, which means that they were more consistent. So the girls were more consistent as they had a smaller range. When you compare the two distributions, it must always be in context. So by saying on average, we are saying that we know that the median is an average, and by saying that they are quicker, we are putting it in context because it's a race. Again, saying that the girls are more consistent shows us that we know that a smaller range means that they are more consistent. So it's really important you use those words. Question 14. Write 8.2 times 10 to the power 5 as an ordinary number. This just means times 8.2 by 10 5 times. So we would end up with 82 and then 4 zeros. 820,000. Write 0.00376 in standard form. Well, to write that in standard form, it must be a number between 1 and 10. So we'll change it to 3.76 times 10, and we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4 places down. And because we're dividing by 10, we do to the minus 4. Work out the value of 2.3 times 10 to the 12 divided by 4.6 times 10 to the 3. Well, if we do the numbers first, 2.3 divided by 4.6, we can see that 4.6 is double 2.3, so that would just be a half, or 0.5. We then want to do the powers, so 10 to the power 12 divided by 10 to the power 3. When we divide powers, we just subtract them, so 12 to the 3 is 9, so that would be 10 to the power 9. So this would be 0.5 times 10 to the power 9. However, it wants it in standard form, and standard form must always be a number between 1 and 10. So if we change this by times it by 10 to make it 5, we can get rid of one of the 10s that we times it by here and make it 10 to the power of 8. So it'll be 5 times 10 to the power of 8 in standard form. Question 15. In the diagram, OB equals B, OC equals C. OC is a third of OA, so this is a third of this, and this will be 2/3. And BD is a quarter of this, so this will be a quarter and this will be 3/4. Find CD, so we are going from C to D in terms of B and C. So to do this, we need to know the vector AB. So to work out AB first, to go from AB, we would go backwards down AO, which would, and if OC is C, then the full line would be 3C. So that would be minus 3Cs, going down from A to O. And then we want to go along from O to B, so that would be adding a B. Once we've got that, we can work out AD. So AD would just be 3/4 of AB. Because if we look at the diagram, we've said that going from A to D would only be 3/4 of that full vector. We then want to go from C to D. So from C to D, I'm going to go up to A, which would be 2Cs, and then I'm going to go down the vector that we've just worked out, which is 3/4 of minus 3C plus B. Now to simplify all that out, we want to write that as 2C minus, and 3 lots of 3/4 would be 9/4 of C, plus 3/4 of B, multiplying out that bracket. 9/4 is the same as 2 1/4, so if we're doing 2, take away 2 1/4, that would leave us with minus 1/4 of C, and we've still got the 3/4 of B. And that's your final answer. Question 16. Two events, A and B, are mutually exclusive. Probability of A is 0.3, probability of B is 0.5. Work out the probability of A dash. That means the probability of it not being A. So we just want to do 1 minus 0.3, which equals 0.7. Work out the probability of A union B. Well, A union B would mean that we want anything in A or anything in B. So to do that, we add those probabilities together. So 0.3 add 0.5 would give us 0.8. It says the probability of C is 0.4 and the probability of D is 0.2. The probability of C intersection D is 0.06. Are they independent? Well, to find an intersection, we would do 0.4 times 0.2, and that will give us 0.08. If they're independent, this is what the probability should be, and it's actually 0.06, so they can't be independent. Question 17. Simplify fully 2x squared plus 9x minus 5 over 6x squared minus 5x plus 1. To factorise the top, we're going to have 2x and x. So to simplify algebraic fractions, we always factorise. And to get the 5 on the end, that's going to be really easy. It's got to be a 5 and a 1. We've just got to figure out which way around that is to make sure that we get a minus 5 on the end and a plus 9x's. Well, if we want plus 9x's, we want to times the 2x by a plus 5 to get plus 10x's. And then we put the minus 1 in here, which will give us minus 1 times x, will give us minus 1x, and we'll end up with a plus 9x's in the middle. So that's what the top would factorise to. The bottom, if anything's going to cancel out, it's going to cancel out with the 2x minus 1. So I'm going to put a 2x minus 1 in here, just to give it a go, and figure out what we'd have to put in here. So to get the 6x squared, we'd have to put a 3x in here, and to get the plus 1 on the end, we'd have to put a minus 1 there. So just double check that, because I've used a bit of a guess there. So 2x times 3x is 6x squared, 2x times minus 1 is minus 2x, minus 3x is minus 5x's, and minus 1 times minus 1 is plus 1. So it does work out there. I've used the top to help me figure out what the bottom must be. The 2x minus 1s will therefore just cancel, and we'll end up with x plus 5 over 3x minus 1. Question 18. AB is the diameter of a circle, C is a point on the circle, D is a point inside the circle, such that BD equals BC, and AC and BD are parallel to each other. So we can see these markings are already on here for us. and we've got that that's parallel to that and that's parallel to that. The first thing we need to say is that the angle ACB, so angle ACB equals 90 degrees because, and it asks for reasons here, angles in a semicircle is 90 degrees. Once we've got that, we've got parallel lines here, so if these are parallel, that means that that there must also be 90. So angle CBD also equals 90 degrees because AC is parallel to DB. Once we've got that, we know that this here then, this isosceles triangle that we've got is a right angled triangle, and therefore these two angles here must be the same, and it's this one here that we're trying to work out. So finally what we can do is we can do 180 minus the 90 divided by 2. 180 minus 90 is 90, divided by 2 is 45 degrees. So x is 45 degrees because base angles in isosceles triangle are equal. Now I've run out of space there, but I would also probably put in the angles in a triangle up to 180 just to be safe with the reasons and make sure you get full marks with that. Question 19. Match up the equations with the graphs. So when you've got a question like this, always pick off the easiest ones first and leave the more difficult ones to the end. So straight away, looking at those graphs, we've only got one parabola, and a parabola must be an x squared graph. So if we look down at the options that we've got, then the x squared graph is the third one down, so that one there must be graph F. The next easiest one to look at is a cubic graph. So the only cubic graph that we've got is D, which gives us that S shape. So the only cubic graph on there is the 2, 4, 5th one down. So that x cubed plus 4 must be D. The third one I would look at is the reciprocal graph. So a reciprocal graph always gives us these asymptotes here. So that means 1 over x, or a number over x. So an asymptote must be that one there. So that would be graph A. The next one we can look at then is an exponential graph. So an exponential graph starts off low and goes high, so that would be graph C. An exponential graph is a number to the power of x. So we can look at this one here. That's an exponential graph there, because it's to the power of x. So that one there must be C. The two that we're left with are the trigonometry ones. So we've got sine x and cos x. Now, you've got to know that sine of 0 is 0. So the sine graph will always start at 0. So the sine graph must be E because it starts here at the origin. So that would be E, and it would leave us with the cos graph being B. Question 20. Expand 1 plus root 2 brackets 3 minus root 2. Well, to do this, I would use FOIL. It says give your answer in the form A plus B root 2. All that means is simplify it down fully at the end. So if we do the first, 1 times 3 is 3. The outsides, 1 times root 2 is minus root 2. The insides, root 2 times 3 is 3 root 2. And then the lasts, we've got root 2 times root 2 will just be 2. And 1's a negative, so that will be minus 2. In the middle, we've got 3 root 2's take away one of them, that would leave us with 2 root 2's. And then we've got 3 take 2 as our whole numbers, 3 take 2 is 1, so that would be 1 plus 2 root 2. And you can see that's in the form where that is A and that is B. So 1 plus 2 root 2 is our answer. Question 21. Umair thinks that A plus 1 squared equals A squared plus 1 for values, all values of A. Surely he's wrong. Well, A plus 1 squared means A plus 1 times A plus 1. And if we expand that out again using FOIL, you end up with A squared plus 2A plus 1. So he's missed out this little bit in the middle here. He says, show that, these two right angle triangles, show that 2A plus 2B plus 1 equals 2C. Well, if we look at this first triangle, we know that Pythagorean says that C squared, the hypotenuse, will be equal to A squared plus B squared. In the second one, we've got that C plus 1 squared would be equal to B minus 1 squared plus a plus 1 squared. Now, if we expand those out, c plus 1 squared would end up as c squared plus 2c plus 1. b minus 1 squared, sorry, that's a plus, isn't it? Sorry, b plus 1 squared. B plus 1 squared would expand to b squared plus 2b plus 1, and a plus 1 squared would then expand out to a squared plus 2a plus 1. Now, looking at this one here, we can see that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So if that there is equal to that plus that, we can cancel those out. So using the first bit, knowing that c squared equals a squared plus b squared, we can cancel out the c squared, b squared and a squared, because they must be equal to each other. That would leave us with 2c plus 1 is equal to 2b plus 1 plus 2a plus 1. If we simplify all that out to get the 2c on its own, we'd end up with 2c on this side, we'd end up with 2b plus 2a, and then the plus 1s add up together to plus 2, we've got to take that 1 off, so that would just be plus 1 again, and we've got what it asks us to show. It says a plus b plus c cannot all be integers. Explain why. Well, to explain why this can't be true, 2a, 2b and 2c are all even, because they are multiples of 2. So, 2a plus 2b plus 1 must be odd, because we've got two even numbers being added together, which would be even, and the plus 1 would make it an odd number. We've been told that 2c, which is an even number, is equal to an odd number, and that cannot be true. So an even cannot be equal to an odd, therefore these cannot be whole numbers, because this would only work if these were integers. So therefore, they cannot be integers.